Apple announced this week that it intends on helping Californians with the affordable housing crisis. In fact, they are pledging $2.5 billion toward combating California's housing crisis, a crisis that they've actually continued based on what Bernie Sanders is saying, and honestly, based on the tax dodging that Sanders is calling out. So Bernie Sanders said this in response to Apple's plan. Apple's announcement that it is entering the real estate lending business is an effort to distract from the fact that it has helped create California's housing crisis, all while raking in $800 million in taxpayer subsidies and keeping $250 billion of profit offshore in order to avoid paying billions of dollars in taxes. He's absolutely right. These are tax dodgers. It's not just Apple. We've seen other massive corporations do this. And look, I think the housing crisis in California is way more complicated than others are making it out to be. But Apple serving as loan sharks is not gonna make the housing crisis any better in California. And there's this repeated talking point that drives me crazy. It originates from the National Association of Realtors, regarding how there's a lack of inventory. The housing crisis is due to a lack of inventory. We have more than 100,000 empty units in California right now, right? And the reason why they're empty is because you have real estate developers coming in, they're knocking down rent-controlled buildings, they're building these high rises with unaffordable apartments that can't get rented. And so the city council in Los Angeles considered taxing landlords who have vacant units as a way to encourage them to lower prices, or if they're not in good condition, to rehab them and get people, in to rent. But I don't know where that proposal went. They haven't actually passed it because, look, real estate developers are very problematic. I'm gonna leave it there. But nonetheless, I like that Bernie's calling out Apple and the fact that they dodged taxes.
I feel like you have a bit of a passion for this particular story.
I do.
So no, when you have things, imagine if you're just a regular person who maybe bought a unit, maybe has an apartment that you want to rent out. You need to actually fill those units in order to get your income. That's a significant portion of your income in order to even pay your bills and pay your mortgage, things like that. So if you're able to develop and build out new units or houses or high rises and don't care that nobody fills them, that's outside the normal realm of how that aspect of income works. Nobody else is like that. That's a privilege to be able to do that. And while you're not filling it up, there's an incentive behind it, because people that don't throw money into something and not get it back.
Totally.
People with a lot of money have a reason, they have a plan of how they're getting their money back.
They want to return on investment, absolutely.
So there's a way they're getting their money. They just don't care to rent it out to any of these plebes, because who cares? I'm here to build buildings and put my name on it. It's the American way. Who cares about actually providing a service to someone to pay something to? So first off with that, we talked about the $250 billion that Bernie mentioned that they're doing offshore profits. So Apple is proposing $2.5 billion. So us regular folks would be like, man, 2.5 billion, they're really committing to our society. But we don't think about the 250 billion just in the offshore part. We're not talking about the total tax dodging or the levels that they've limited, the politicians that they bought out in the Republican Party to pass this tax law that's allowing them to get even more money like this. So we look at this much money and go, man, they're really sending us a lot of money. No, they're not.
No, it's
These
not.
are crumbs again. When they got mad at Nancy Pelosi for telling people, stop taking those crumbs, that's why they want you to continue to think, hey, Nancy Pelosi doesn't know what crumbs really are. No, you guys know what crumbs are, and you're making it sound like it's bigger to us.
Am I the only one that's a little taken back by Apple and houses?
You're not. I'm definitely taken aback.
Okay, like who? No, I never in my life would I ever thought, you know what? I'm going to rent a condo or rent an apartment or buy a house from Apple. That sounds ridiculous. Doesn't it sound a little ridiculous?
Or go to Apple to finance it.
Exactly.
Because that's essentially what they're offering here, right? So like the $2.5 billion, you're right, it's a drop in the bucket when you consider the crisis in California. But more importantly, it's not like they're just giving $2.5 billion away. They're offering loans to people who can't get loans in other ways, like from traditional banks or non-bank lenders. So.
Wouldn't this? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the crisis of 2008. What's that movie? The Big Short.
Mm-hmm.
this looks like it could potentially turn out to be that, because we go to Apple to buy iPhones and iPods and things of that nature, right? Apple just announced, or they just rolled out an Apple Card. There's a lot of ways that they entice their consumers to go and buy their products. They're very good about their marketing. They're very good about getting you wrapped up in the ecosystem, right? So Annie, make a great point. There's people who are in that ecosystem, enticed by what Apple has to offer, that know that they can't afford these things. I know they probably can't repay them back, even on loans on these phones they have.
Yeah.
So it's just, to me, it comes across hyper greedy, very greedy and very self-serving, which, because businesses, what do they want to do? They always want to remain profitable. And Apple is one of the most profitable companies in the world, yes?
Yeah.
So again, I go back to when I saw Apple wanting to, and just for the sake of saying this, maybe they do have a positive, altruistic, philanthropic, motivations for people and this. We don't know, because that's yet to be discovered. However, I just think I would not be one of those people that would go to Apple and be like, let me sign up, let me rent a house while I'm getting me a new Apple Watch.
Well, what are they throwing in these houses? These like technologically advanced houses?
Yeah, that stuff I don't know. But like,
no way.
I want to be a little more specific about what they're proposing, just so you get an idea, and it will add some evidence to what I'm saying. These are loans, right? This is what they want to be like loan sharks, basically. So $1 billion affordable housing investment fund. So the $1 billion commitment will provide the state and others with an open line of credit to develop and build additional new, very low to moderate income housing faster and at a lower cost. Okay, so again, these are loans. And the problem isn't a lack of inventory. For the billionth time, I hate the fact that any discussion about solutions to affordable housing in California starts with, there's a lack of inventory, we need to do away with zoning laws, we need to build more of these insane monstrosities in residential areas where no one can afford the units. No, we have the inventory. That's not the problem. The problem is that those units are not coming down in price, and that doesn't get talked about at all. It's frustrating.
We can tout the job numbers every month. We do it amongst many presidents. So it's not like just this president's ones are coming in, and then when job numbers, you have 134,000 jobs added in a month. And then the first thing I think every time I read it, when Obama was in office, when W was in office, every time there'd be job numbers, I would say, man, so what does that really mean? I hated reporting about jobs numbers because people stop at the number. But if you ask those people that got those jobs added, hey, are you getting paid $34.69 minimum per hour in order to afford the average two-bedroom apartment? Two-bedroom apartment. So again, there's so many factors that come into a normal life. Say someone has one child, a couple has one child, and that's 3 people in a place. You wanna live generally, normally, comfortably. Somebody's gonna have a room, your kid's gonna have a room, especially as they grow up. And then you have your own room. Maybe you want a second one of those little children that we like to say we care about so much. What about the children? So again, you have to be making just about $35 an hour to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. What if you want a house? What if you want to go to a decent school? What if you want in certain areas where then that's also underfunded? There's so many factors that get siphoned out of our communities, that go to these corporations, that go and hide their money. It's not just about, hey, let's punish the rich. Hey, let's have them contribute to society the same way we do. Because as we buy that $1,100 new iPhone, we're still paying the taxes on that. We're paying our normal taxes. If you cheat on taxes and try and dodge them, you're going to prison. Yeah. They aren't.
Exactly.
It's a different society from each of these factors.
I love that you brought that up, because oftentimes corporations and the very wealthy will try to frame this as, oh, we're getting punished for our success. No. We just want you to be punished by the system the way that we have. You should pay your taxes just like we have to pay our taxes.
Patriotic Americans contribute to society. Don't you love this country? Or do you love the Cayman Islands instead? Aren't you, we'd love to tout our patriotism, contribute to America, made in America. Well, really? How much are they making here?
Well, for anyone who's interested in real solutions to the housing crisis, not just in California, but throughout the country, Bernie Sanders has a real proposal for that, and we covered it in detail on a previous show. So check out that video, check out his proposal. It's a far better solution than having a private corporation serve as a loan shark for individuals who can't afford housing.
And one more thing. How many people's credit is getting destroyed over having to take out these loans just to live and take the next step? So then, oh yeah, we got all these affordable housing. Oh, you have loans you're gonna give up so I can buy an Apple house? Oh, I'm sorry, your credit is 650. You can't get a house because your credit sucks, because you've had to live off this system that has destroyed your credit, because that's the only way you can make it. It's a circular,
yes, you're right.
The problem continues to lop off the heads of the regular folks while the people who have all this money win.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.